Thanks so much for tuning in with us today to another episode of A Brighter Day in the Neighborhood. Our guest today, Shelley Cost, firm administrator extraordinaire, chief heart officer at Brighter Day Law. We're just so happy and pleased that you were able to join us today.
Thank you.
With your job title, and we may want to talk about first what exactly that is, with your job title, not everyone would necessarily automatically connect that idea with being a helping professional like you would with nurses or you would in terms of social work or something along that line. So why don't we first get into what it is you do with Brighter Day Law and then why you do it.
Okay. I get to interact with our potential clients and current clients on a daily basis. With our current clients, I get to assist them with any kind of questions that they may have, connect them with staff members who can answer questions that I can't, and really just kind of oversee the overall client experience to ensure that people are getting what they need, whether it be for the duration of their case or, just on an immediate basis why they're calling in that day. For potential new clients, I have the opportunity to speak with all of them, hear their stories, understand what's going on, dig a little deep into their situation to see if that's, a matter that we could assist with. And then I have the opportunity to get to schedule them to speak with one of our attorneys. I also have the privilege of assisting the staff on a daily basis and overseeing any kind of need that the building may have. And so I get to do a lot of different things, but my heart is really in helping the clients and specifically our potential new clients.
All right. Well, I love that you're using words like I get the opportunity, and the privilege. So tell me a little bit more about that. Because not everybody feels that way about the work that they do, that they get to do those kind of things.
Yeah, I have a heart to help people and to see them get out of a situation or to transition out of something chaotic and painful and stressful. And so I really do count it a privilege to be able to help them on that journey. And certainly I feel that way and I'm passionate about that because I myself have gone through that kind of transition, and I have seen some very difficult days in terms of my family and things that I went through personally. And so I count it a great joy that I get to use my testimony and what I went through to help folks who are in that situation, help provide hope.
All right. So do you mind if we delve into?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's delve into a little bit. So when you're talking about, you've been through that type of situation, do you mean as a grown-up or as a child?
Both, actually. So my parents got divorced when I was in middle school. I was in 6th grade. And they didn't have their marriage was very broken before they actually made the choice to get divorced. And it was very apparent to me as a child that their marriage was broken, and it was a very stressful environment, and the atmosphere in the house was it was contentious, and it was, to me as a child, it was obvious. And so the choice to get divorced made sense to me. It was a healthy one, I thought, because if you're not getting along and there's no there's no agreement in anything, then what is the point in staying together and subjecting your children to this if you can be healthy and happy apart, and still co-parent? And so that's what I saw as a child growing up. And then I got married very young. I was 19, and then I also had my daughter when I was 19. But my husband and I had a great marriage. We had a great relationship. We were best friends. But he was an alcoholic, and he went through seasons of sobriety, and then he went through seasons of great struggle. And there came a point in our marriage where it just wasn't safe for me to be around anymore. And so I had to do something. I had to act very quickly. And So I had to make the choice to leave or to have him leave, essentially. And it was terrifying and it was frightening, but I had to navigate the situation. And so my hope and, what I'm passionate about is hearing these people's stories, why they call in, when they call in, and being able to relate to them in the position of, I'm in total crisis right now, but I've been there, they're in a position of crisis. I've been there. And, I had the opportunity, and that was when I met you, actually, to get through that and to choose to see that there was hope, even when it was very dark and when it was very scary. But I knew that there was better.
Well, I think it's interesting because you've kind of brought up two sort of separate experiences that overlap the work that you do now. And I want, I would agree with you. There are lots of times when it is an appropriate or good choice to make a change, and in a family situation, sometimes that change is, to separate or divorce or what have you. And I think it's real telling that you, as a child, I don't know how old were you at that time?
I was in 6th grade, so I was probably 12, maybe 12 or 13.
Or so. That, for you, even to make word choices like that was a healthy choice. You thought it was a good thing.
Yeah.
That your parents, made that decision to improve their lives and improve your life and the lives of your siblings, by separating, utilizing the divorce process. Do you think if they had chosen differently, I mean, like just in terms of trauma impact, things of that nature, do you think if they had chosen differently, the outcome for you would have been different?
Probably. Yeah, it definitely would have been. I think that I would have, I would have lost respect for them, to be quite honest. And I think I would have been even more of an angsty teenager. But when something, it was so apparent that it wasn't working. And so I think that it definitely would have had more of a traumatic impact on me if they would have chosen to stay together and continue to fight this out. I'm not sure how different it would be or what my life would look like, but it definitely would have impacted me in a negative way for sure.
So it sounds like you're very thankful that they made the choice and that they navigated that process well together.
Absolutely. And even though I know that it was really traumatic and, I saw my mom in tears at different points of the divorce, they both did a really good job of shielding us from the process and shielding us from, the negative things that they were going through. They were, they were there for us, even though, they knew that things weren't working out between them, but they never really involved my brother and I in the process so much that it became something that was very detrimental to us. So we just kept being kids and kept doing our thing.
While the grown-ups took care of grown-up
exactly.
business. And that's something that we look for and encourage in the families that we work with as well, is that the grown-ups get the support that they need to be grown-ups so that the kids can keep being kids.
Absolutely.
And then, you said later when you went through the process as an adult, you had kids at that time.
I did. I had 2.
And so how did that, nobody looks forward to, especially when you come from, a divorced household or a broken household. No one looks forward then to repeating that in adulthood. But how did the way that your parents handled it, which sounds like very well, inform the way that you were, made choices to handle your situation later on?
Yeah, I wanted to protect my kids. I knew that no matter what kind of hurt that I was going through as far as my relationship ending, that was secondary to taking care of my kids, making sure that they had what they need, making sure that they, were shielded, in fact, from that process. They didn't have to worry about that. They knew that I was there. I had to act to protect their lives also. I really did. And so
I mean, you were in a dangerous situation.
I was in a very dangerous situation. It was very unfortunate, but the grip that alcohol had on my husband was unreal. And like, I don't even know if I have words that can do it justice, because it was such a stronghold of addiction. And, you know, when he became violent, I knew that something had to change. And so protecting my kids was my utmost concern. Nothing else mattered. And so even though I was hurting inside, and, you know, my marriage was obviously over, and, you know, there was going to be a lot of things that happened after, you know, I had to, you know, separate myself, I knew that they were my primary concern.
Right. You're listening to A Brighter Day in the Neighborhood with Angela Jones, hosted by Brighter Day Law. And our guest today is Shelley Cost, our Chief Heart Officer, who we lovingly refer to as Chief.
That's Chief.
At least from now on, for sure. We were just talking over lunch about doing some special awards around the office a la the Dundees. And so I think I know what your Dundee's going to say, or your BD's going to say this time. So, getting back to, you know, your story, and I know you know, are very interested in other people's story and meeting them where they are. There's other areas outside of work where you serve folks too. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
I'd love to.
Okay.
So I am a member of Crossroads Christian Center. It is a non-denominational, multicultural church, and it's located in Fountain. I started attending the church when our family was together, and we lived in Fountain. We lived in Fountain for 14 years. And so
You're a Fountain gal, though. You're from Fountain? Or
no,
the
I'm from the Springs. I'm from the West Side. West Side.
Okay.
But we moved to Fountain when, right before Sydney, my daughter, my oldest, started kindergarten. And so the goal was, you know, to find an area community, you know, with good schools, and, you know, and it was, the cost of living is way cheaper in Fountain. So we found what we wanted in Fountain.
Even more so these days,
right?
Like, I'm not even sure people from Colorado Springs can afford Colorado Springs anymore, right?
Oh, I know that's right. Whew. Okay, so we moved to Fountain, and we stayed there for 14 years. And so I found this church through a mutual musician friend of ours, but that's where I attend. And so I get to serve in our music ministry, or worship. So I, along with my pastor, lead the worship team. I play the piano, I play keys, and I help vocalists every Sunday. So that's really my passion. That is what I feel called to do in life, is to lead and teach music and worship. And so this is my creative outlet also. I absolutely love it. We, like I said, we're a multicultural church, and so this is really what I had dreamt about being a part of when I was, you know, a little girl and involved in choir and, you know, all kinds of music in church, because I feel like it's representative of what heaven looks like and sounds like, because we know that, you know, all tribes and all nations will be in heaven. It's not just one sound, and it's not just one color of skin. And so it's very important to me that I get to be involved in something like that here on earth. And so we play all different kinds of music. We are very intentional about choosing different kinds of music, different styles, and incorporating that in every Sunday. It's very important to us. That's the foundation of our church, is, you know, to be a multicultural church.
So I heard the other day that I got booted off of a Zoom. I mean, you know, this is our new way of living now.
Yes.
Like the Zoom meetings. That's one of the, you know, good things that we've gotten out of the whole pandemic situation, is that ability to meet together and spend time together. You know, as an organization, and just, you know, as friends, you know, to meet virtually. But I heard when I lost I lost my internet the other day up in Black Forest, that Shelley, you broke out in a rap.
Oh, I was just, trying to keep it light. I'm the chief heart officer. I got to make sure, people are laughing and they're enjoying their experience at work.
Well, I'm not going to put you on the spot this minute to do that, but I will come back around to a minor performance here for our guest.
Performance. Oh,
just
my goodness.
no, because you do. You have a wonderful voice. When you said you're a musician, a lot of times people think about instruments and things like that. But, I've always thought, because I've heard you sing and I've heard you play, which you're a wonderful piano and keys player. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how you got into that. And I know it was from little.
Yep, little.
But your primary instrument, and I mean that like across the board. I don't just mean singing, but I just mean the way that you lift other people up. You're an excellent listener, but the feedback that you give to people. I mean, people, come to you for comfort, and that your voice is your real instrument. And I'm glad you brought up like this mutual musician kind of situation. So,
right.
Yeah. So how did you get into music? Did it start with piano lessons when you were little, or did you sing before that?
It started with piano. I was 4 years old when my mom bought the piano that I currently have in my house. So that is the OG original piano, been through like 50 moves, but up the stairs, up many stairs. Oh yeah, legs half fallen off, but that's the original one. And so when I was in kindergarten, I started taking lessons, and I started taking classical piano lessons. And so I did the whole recital thing, each year there were recitals, Christmas recitals, and so that's how I learned to play. And then when I started going to more charismatic type churches, if you will, churches that had contemporary worship bands or worship teams, I wanted to learn a different way to play, because what I wanted to do was play spontaneous worship and unscripted things. And so I learned how to play by chords, and it was so easy. And I'm like, why didn't I start doing this first? But
the beginning.
I'm really glad that I got the theory background that I did, because it enabled me to really be in the position that I'm in now. And so as worship leader, and really, what we like to do is have moments in worship that are unscripted, that are not written. And so this enabled me to take all of that theory, that I had kind of in my head, and really put it on the keys and transform it into something that was just spontaneous and creative and in the moment. And so you got to have that kind of background to know like what goes with what, where do I want to go with this. And so it gave me those skills to play in the moment, and that's really what my passion is. Very interested in writing, worship music and music in general. And so I have the opportunity to get to do that where I'm at.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about this idea of like contemporary and how that intersects with multicultural.
Yeah.
What
awesome.
type of genres do you incorporate?
That's a good question. So we endeavor to incorporate anything that we can, honestly. We'll take on any challenge, but we'll do worship music, and I'm just going to throw out some contemporary names just for like a point of reference, like Hillsong or Bethel. Who else? Like going back, we got like Chris Tomlin and like the Passion Band. And so when you think of like contemporary, maybe worship bands, you think of that,
Right.
like Matt Redman. And then we also do gospel music.
Which is my favorite.
Yes, mine too. Mine too. And so we have this blend. It's like this fusion of a lot of different sounds and a lot of different expressions. If you've ever heard of Maverick, I think that our worship style is similar to theirs in the fact that you will see all kinds of cultures and ethnic backgrounds that make up their team, and they all flow together beautifully. There's an ebb and a flow. There's, a give and a take, and but they have they've incorporated kind of like the gospel feel and like maybe a more traditional or contemporary sound. So it's really this blend. And that's what we're going for.
Right. Well, I don't know if this is, how you would necessarily see it, but like I think I'm seeing a thread here between, the work that you do vocationally and then, this aspect of your life, your service, there's this creativity and responsiveness. That's really that common thread.
Absolutely.
Between the two. And people wouldn't typically think about creativity being infused into an office shop.
Right.
But it's, we pivot.
Oh, yeah. We absolutely do.
We ebb, we flow. Definitely. And I think that's really, it's very interesting how, like, the art or those expressive arts that we have in our life. And I think all people are creative. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. It may not be the same expression that I have or maybe in the same way, but absolutely. I think all people are there's some facet of their being that is creative. They might not see it as creative, but, it definitely is. I think another common thread that ties, my worship life or, my church service life and my office life is my desire to unite folks and to unite people in this mutual like respect and really I think it comes down to honor. I'm honoring them. I see value in them, no matter what they're going through, no matter what they're facing. I see them as valuable, and I want to honor them. And so, when we're in worship, and we want to honor one another, we give each other place to, maybe take the lead or, or give feedback. And so I can honor people in my professional life. By choosing to see their perspective or choosing to listen, maybe with a colleague or a coworker. And then, with clients, it's really about showing this compassion and this empathy and, and we get the opportunity, and this is awesome that I love about our job, that you give us the creative freedom to really offer words of encouragement to people. And it doesn't have to just be about, okay, here's your case, here's the strategy, but also, like, I care about you and I want to see you get to the better you, not just to the other side of this case, but there is a fantastic and a bright future waiting for you.
Yeah, especially, and I would agree with that. I think it just playing on this or speaking to this voice theme, that's a big part of our job is to give true voice to where a person is coming from, because a lot of times people in crisis, they're having a difficult time articulating their true heart. It sometimes comes across as frustrated or angry, or they're fighting for their life, and or the things that are most important to them, their children, their time, their reputation, different kind of things like that, like what they built. But a lot of times, most of the time, we find that the real voice underneath it all is just someone who wants to have peace, who wants to be settled, who wants to have hope that there is a better future for them, for their family, and for their children.
Yeah, for generations to come. They want to leave a legacy.
Absolutely. All right, so I think we just have a few more minutes if you wanted to treat us to a little impromptu.
You got to sing with me.
I can't sing.
Yes, you can.
I can try.
Do not listen to that. That is not the truth. She can sing.
Oh, Lord.
What do you want to sing together?
Oh, I don't know. You have to pick.
Okay,
we're pick something easy.
What's your favorite hymn?
Oh, I like that. Be Thou My Vision is my favorite.
So that's a wordy thing.
It is. That's what you asked.
What's your second favorite hymn?
You don't want me running around like Kurt Franklin. That's what my second favorite is, just to run around and repeat things.
We could do that too.
We were practicing our stomp clap in the car earlier, so
Like-
we can do that a little bit.
Trying to help you.
You got the preaching. So I got
All
the
right.
stomp clapping. Okay.
How great is our God? Sing with me.
How great is our God.
And all will see
How great, how great is our God. All right.
You'll have to stay tuned for verse 2.
Yeah,
y'all.
yeah, no kidding. All right,
Or you can tune in to Crossroads Christian Center. I'm gonna put this shameless plug
You
in
put
here.
it in, you
Just
put it
'cause, also, so Facebook Live every Sunday, 10 a.m. Holler at your people.
all right, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. We just appreciate you.
I appreciate
I mean,
y'all.
you know I appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am,
But I
I do.
really appreciate your time and your willingness to, share with our listeners here today, your heart for people. And we're just so very proud to have you with
thank
us.
you.
So,
It's really my pleasure and my honor to get to do this with you. Thank you.
thanks, Shelley.
Do you have a mic that I can drop? Just
Yeah.